Bluetooth earbuds are plentiful. You can find one at any price, and the extreme ends of the spectrum are almost always going to be a ripoff. Companies like Anker have a history of developing and releasing Bluetooth devices, and from there, we sometimes get great bang for our money. Today, we are taking a look at a rival to Anker. This is the Soundpeats Air4 Pro. It costs $80 and might just have enough to offer to entice you. And right now, on Amazon, Soundpeats has a 30% discount if you end up deciding to take this plunge. Soundpeats claims that the Air4 Pro has lossless sound. We all know this is a false claim because Bluetooth is by nature lossy. Companies like Soundpeats and Anker sometimes make these assertions, and we all need to be cognizant it is simply not true. Anyway, the Air4 has multi-point pairing, active noise cancellation that will adapt to the environment, has in-ear detection, a feature that even Beats does not incorporate in some of their expensive products, and, wait for it, a mobile application. The Air4 has a touch control surface built into the logo. You get a combination of taps and holds to use its various functions, including volume, phone answering, playback, and game mode. Game mode decreases the standard latencies to a claimed 88 milliseconds. The marketing says that the Air4 uses Snapdragon sound, which will reconstruct your audio exactly as the artist intended. And this again is a marketing ploy used by nearly every audio company. As for build, the Air4 has the same stick design that Apple forced into the market many years ago. Naturally, the Air4 is made of plastic, but it does feel well made. The touch areas on the earbuds are clearly delineated, and you won't go hunting for it. This earbud comes with a handful of silicone ear tips, though you can easily find any number of alternatives in the market. The charging case will provide about 3 additional full charges, with the Air4's battery life being around 6 hours without noise cancellation and in the lowest resolution. In my use scenario, using AAC and aptX, I found that the Air4's battery life consistently came to around 4 hours with its noise cancellation active. Speaking of which, the Air4 supports SBC, aptX, and AAC. Unsurprisingly, there's no LDAC. I found the Air4 to be very comfortable to wear. Perhaps the AirPods are slightly lighter and cause less pressure against my ear cavities, but the difference is negligible in my opinion. I could easily wear the Air4 for 3 hours at a time. Overall, the Air4 Pro has features that are pretty standard in the market and some that even big boys like Beats don't include. The inclusion of a wide band of codecs is a huge step forward, and while LDAC would have been nice, when your goal is signal strength to distance, LDAC is not particularly useful. I used the Air4 Pro for several weeks as my go-to Bluetooth earbud. I paired it with my LG V30, iPhone, Mac, and PC. I listened to a wide assortment of content, including FLAC, lossy tracks from Spotify, watched movies and shows on Netflix and YouTube, and put this device through my normal use scenarios. Of course, I also used my test playlist on Amazon Music HD to help figure out the sound signature. The Air4 has a bass emphasis, though not to bass head levels, using the stock configuration of the sound profile. Sub-bass has a marginal emphasis, which becomes evident in tracks like Mountains by Hans Zimmer. There, the sub-bass rumbles starts from the beginning and comes in and out throughout the track. The Air4 was able to recreate this detail. Moreover, when the crescendo hit at the middle, the Air4 allowed the organ and other elements to pop through. The bass never overpowered the other elements, yet still remained audible, and more importantly, resonated through my ears. Drums sound sharp, impactful, and hard. In Irodori and Conquer, the Air4 presented the various drum strikes without muddiness. Transients was fairly quick, and each impact was distinct. Irodori uses various sizes of drums, all of which have their own character. The Air4 allowed those differing tonalities to remain even when all the drums played together. Separation between sub-bass and mid-bass is obvious. There's no audible muddiness or significant loss of detail. When compared to IEMs like the Moondrop Aria and Starfield, the experience is different. Those IEMs have a more pronounced bass, yet also much less clear. Details sound more obvious on the Air4. Bass transience is longer on the Moondrop products. On the other hand, the Tin Hi-Fi T2 has noticeably less bass emphasis than the Air4 and the Moondrop IEMs, but sounds clearest of all. The mids on the Air4 are slightly recessed, but vocals remain clear in the mix. In Why Am I Like This by Orla Gartland, there's a natural vocal grain and sibilance mixed in. The Air4 emphasized that sibilance, probably by 3 to 4 decibels. Orla's voice was almost shoulder to shoulder with the drums, yet more obvious than the other instruments. The backup vocalist who chimes in near the end of the track was also quite obvious. In Want You Back by Haim, the Air4 again showed that it emphasizes sibilance, again likely by 3 to 4 decibels. There are 3 vocalists in this track, and the Air4 easily separated their unique voices even when all the instruments played at maximum. Compared to the Aria and Starfield, the Air4 was noticeably clearer in the mids. Vocals stood apart from instruments and more obviously on the Air4. The Aria and Starfield emphasized bass so much that vocals sound further away in comparison and recessed. The 10T2 has clearer mids but also slightly harsher emphasis to sibilance. The Aria and Starfield appear to have sibilance emphasis that is similar to that of the Air4. The Air4's treble seems to have a slight dip in the low to mid treble, but a fairly neutral upper treble. In Scherzo for X-Wings, the Air4 easily presented the grainy tones of the brass and horns. The various group sets vied for attention, but all retained their placement. In Flight from the City, the Air4 presented the piano and cello clearly. While their notes did overlap from time to time, they never sounded veiled or muddy because of that. I could hear the electric buzzing effects, creaking of wood, and twangs of the cello strings quite easily. The Aria and Starfield, on the other hand, have a mid-treble emphasis but a marginal upper treble roll-off. Clarity in this region is more obvious on the Air4. As for detail retrieval, the Air4 has above-average presentation. Obvious details are always there. Subtle details can be heard if you pay close attention, but nuanced, delicate details may not be apparent. For a more quantitative test, I listen to Kazuki's song New Light. I count the number of footsteps I can hear in the first 60 seconds. The first footstep, if you're following along, is at exactly 11 seconds. That is the sound I'm referring to. The Air4 rendered 8 to 9 clear footsteps in this test, compared to the Moondrop Blessing 3, which provides 16, the WG-T2, which presents 10, the Tin Hi-Fi T2, which renders 8, the MS2, which provides 9, the Starfield and Aria, which each presents 6 to 7, and the Blonde BL03, which renders a measly 5 to 6. As for soundstage, I would say that the Air4 is above average. It is wider than the Quarks, Aria, and Starfield, but the Tin Hi-Fi T2 and WG-T2 have wider soundstage than the Air4. Overall, the Air4's stock tuning has a balanced signature. There's a marginal bass emphasis, slight dip in the mid-range, a dip in the low to mid-treble, and a fairly neutral upper treble. The Air4 does emphasize sibilance, which tends to push vocals out from the instruments in a mix. Now, I mentioned that Soundpeats has a mobile app for the Air4. This is available for both iOS and Android. Through the app, you can upgrade the firmware, select EQ, activate noise cancellation and game modes, and turn ear detection on or off. The EQ presets are fairly standard. The custom EQ is thankfully 10-band with 6 decibel swings in both directions. The app is stable and does everything you need it to. A lot of wireless earbud manufacturers should take a lesson from Soundpeats in this respect. Finally, one of my pet peeves with Bluetooth earbuds is their lackluster volume. That's the nature of small devices, and you really cannot defeat the laws of nature in this respect. However, it is evident that some Bluetooth earbuds get louder than others, and I'm glad to say that the Air4 Pro generally sounded perfectly loud to me at around 80% volume. At 100%, there is some audible distortion, particularly in mid-bass. Then there's the noise cancellation feature. It works, but is nothing groundbreaking. The earbuds will marginally muffle some external sounds, but do not function anything like the AirPods Pro, Sony, or Bose earbuds. And that really should not be surprising. Frankly, the battery trade-off that noise cancellation on these earbuds require is simply not justified. I'd rather listen longer, particularly since the provided ear tips made a fairly good seal for me and, frankly, drowned out more noise than the active noise cancellation ever did. Ultimately, the Soundpeats Air4 Pro is a very good Bluetooth IEM. I would caution this company's marketing to not mislead customers by claiming that they will get lossless audio or that they'll hear audio exactly as the artist intended. They've got a good product that doesn't need to be brought down by overzealous and legally questionable promises. For the MSRP of $80, I think Soundpeats gives you a heck of a lot. The Air4 feels sturdy, fits well, and has all the features we have come to expect. In-ear detection, simple yet useful touch controls, and a mobile app that actually provides good functionality. I'm perfectly happy recommending this earbud to anyone who's looking for what the Air4 Pro has to offer. And the current sale price of $56, which is 30% off the MSRP, makes this a really enticing deal. Always keep in mind that you have plenty of options in the market. If you're happy with what you have now, then don't let the hype and praise influence you. And if you're in the market for new gear, remember that glowing praise is rarely realistic. And I hope that all of you have a fantastic holiday season and a great start to 2024.